10 News with Tracy Spicer.
Giant killers. 500 million people see a tiny nation give France a World Cup kicking. Booed. Union anger boils over as Labor's leader is jeered by the party unfaithful. And 60 years on, remembering those killed when Japan attacked Sydney. Good evening. A David and Goliath win has sparked massive celebrations. In its first ever World Cup match, the poor African nation of Senegal has smashed its old colonial master, France. The victory witnessed by 500 million people.
A shining spectacle of fireworks and dance at Seoul's new World Cup stadium heralded the opening of the 2002 tournament, the first ever to be co-hosted by two countries. Watched by an estimated 500 million viewers worldwide, the ceremony was a celebration of friendship, harmony and, of course, soccer. So often the stage for football fairy tales, World Cup fans didn't have to wait long for their first slice of history. Cup favourites and defending champions France took on African debutante Senegal in Game 1, and after weathering a French attacking storm, midfielder Papa Bouba Diop capitalised on the French keeper's mistake to put the 100-1 outsiders in front.
Well, they've scored, and it's Bouba Diop. What a moment for Senegal.
The goal enough to seal one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history.
This is unbelievable, indescribable. This is the first time we participate to the soccer. And you know, today we gain against the biggest team in the world.
Spontaneous celebrations erupted throughout Senegal's capital, a French colony until independence 40 years ago. Thousands took to the streets in an outpouring of national pride, led by 76-year-old President Abdoulaye Wade. French fans shell-shocked, now hoping their team can bounce back in the next two games and avoid an embarrassing World Cup exit. Max Futcher, 10 News.
An embarrassment for federal Labor leader Simon Crean, with ALP members heckling him in Queensland. Some even walked out of the state conference as Mr Crean defended his push to cut back union voting power.
Simon Crean's been under pressure from his own party members at a string of recent Labor conferences. That pattern continued when he addressed the Queensland ALP last night.
Why I support 50-50. Now,
delegates furious over plans to cut back union voting power, some walking out.
It's all about screwing unions to the floor, and that's not what we're about.
But the Labor leader isn't budging.
I will continue to persist with my view to get that support for what is modernising the Labor Party.
The federal ALP will face even more criticism at the Queensland conference over its stand on detention centres.
Party members want to see change, they deserve change, and let's give them that change that they want.
The spotlight may be on the differences within the Labor Party ranks, but the cracks are also widening within the Queensland National Party. Former National Party Premier Russell Cooper set to announce a challenge for the party presidency. Kathy Border on the Gold Coast for 10 News.
More than 5,000 horse riders have brought Melbourne's streets to a standstill in a massive protest over public liability insurance. Demonstrators say the crisis threatens to shut down pony clubs and riding centres across Australia. Thousands of horse enthusiasts marched through Melbourne city streets, most leaving their equine friends at home to show what it will be like when skyrocketing premiums make it too expensive to insure riding activities.
Without insurance, I won't even be able to pat him. I won't let my friends near him, and I won't be able to let him near anyone else, because there's too much risk that I'd have to pay for public liability.
Melbourne's rally, one of many protests held around the country. Even some demonstrations themselves were nobbled when organisers couldn't get public liability cover.
No insurance meant no march, meant no horses. And as you can see from the bridle that I'm carrying here, this is going to be an all too familiar scene.
The mass rallies come just 2 days after finance ministers and treasurers from around the country met here in Melbourne in a bid to come up with some solutions to the insurance crisis.
Governments, although they are acting, need to act quicker to save this horse industry.
Horse riding does have an inherent risk. So if you're going to ride a horse, you accept the fact that the onus is on you.
Stephanie Ferrier, 10 News.
And there's been a huge rally of doctors in Queensland over the health insurance crisis. Hundreds of GPs attended a special forum in Brisbane this morning. They've welcomed a 6-month extension to the federal government's guarantee for doctors insured by UMP. But the AMA says that needs to be backed up by Queensland legislation to cap damages payouts and reduce the statute of limitations.
If the Beattie government doesn't grasp the nettle of tort law reform within the next 2 weeks, they will be facing a large number of doctors who don't want to turn up to work.
And calls tonight for Australia's health system to be given an urgent check-up following a new outbreak of so-called superbugs. One multi-resistant bacteria has been confirmed in a major Sydney hospital, but medical experts say it's symptomatic of a much wider crisis in healthcare.
Peter Barnes and his wife Sandra should be enjoying their newborn son, but an infection contracted in hospital soon after the birth has left Peter's partner ill, very ill.
They've been putting in the triple antibiotics, and that didn't seem to work, so they decided to put her back to theatre last night.
An upsurge in drug-resistant bacteria outbreaks continue to plague Australia's health system. Sydney's Prince of Wales Hospital will reopen a ward recently hit with one of these superbugs on Monday after several weeks of decontamination.
The problem on this case was that we had so many that it wasn't possible to isolate them sufficiently in the one unit, and therefore we had to separate them.
9 patients were transferred from the ward during the bacteria alert. Prince of Wales Hospital is eager to stress that while the bacteria was certainly detected, no patients were actually infected. However, others say it's a clear warning for Australia's health system generally, which must be heeded.
And it's generally a symptom of overworked, understaffed hospitals.
Richard West says government underfunding is pushing our hospitals into a third world standard of care.
A symptom of a system that is not modern, but is stressed to make ends meet.
Peter Barnes faces a 5 to 6 week wait to take his wife and newborn son home, angry she became sick at all.
Again, so it's going to be a series of theatre, hyperbaric chambers, and hopefully she'll get better.
Tim Collins, 10 News.
A memorial service today to mark 60 years since Sydney Harbour came under attack from the Japanese. The raid saw the sinking of HMAS Cuttable, killing 21 sailors.
It was the day when war came to Sydney. Just after midnight on June the 1st, 1942, 3 Japanese midget submarines snuck into the harbour, firing torpedoes. One torpedo scored a direct hit on the accommodation vessel HMAS Cuttable. The explosion killed 21 sailors and injured 10.
The particular significance of the sinking of Cuttable was the realisation for Australians that our isolation did not protect us from the horrors of war.
As the wooden ferry began to sink, Neil Roberts, just 18 at the time, swam for his life.
Water was racing up and I was trapped there, and I took a deep breath, a very deep breath, believe me, and I slipped into the water and I swam where I knew the exit was.
Most of the crew was asleep at the time of the attack, many not remembering anything.
I got blown out of the window somewhere. They picked me up in the harbour, took me to Man o' War Steps, went to Sydney Hospital, woke up 3 days later, and they wanted to know where I was.
Today's service also commemorated the 6 Japanese submariners who lost their lives. 4 committed suicide, the other 2 were never found. Wreaths were laid by both countries and also by survivors, remembering their lost mates. Anita Clark, 10 News.
And now today's top stories in sport with Matthew White.
Tracy, Leighton Hewitt is into round 4 at the French Open. The world #1 grinding out a tough 4-set win over Dutchman Shen Scholken. There was also a security scare at Roland Garros. The stands cleared when a suitcase was left unattended. Round 10 of the AFL, and last night the Kangaroos sealed the deal in the dying stages to beat Essendon by 8 points at the MCG. And in rugby league, an embarrassing loss for the West Tigers overnight, beaten by a rookie Brisbane outfit. All the details and, of course, the World Cup in sports tonight, Trace.
Thanks, Matt. Still to come in 10 News, a new decision on the sale of Telstra. And shocking toll, the projected death and injury numbers if there is a nuclear war between India and Pakistan.
Big Brother did a worldwide first and nominated them all.
You're nominated.
Really?
Oh, what?
7:30 Sunday, it's the most important night yet. Each and every housemate is nominated for eviction. But that's not all. Big Brother has another nasty surprise up his sleeve. In a special 2-hour episode, you won't just vote out one housemate, you'll evict 2.
It's time to go. It's time to go.
Who will they be? Double eviction, 7:30 Sunday.
Simply stunning. 3-piece only $9.99. Look on News.
We're going to sell 10,000 quilts this year. So how are we going to sell 10,000 quilts? You're going to get a premium luxury quilt at once-in-a-lifetime prices.
Luxury winter weight wool quilts, 500 gram fill. You need one of these if you feel the cold. Don't pay $160, just $99.95.
Great prices, huh? Now that's how we're going to sell 10,000 quilts.
Thousands of quilts have been discounted, heavily discounted.
We are going to sell 10,000 quilts this year. Just watch us.
Anyone could go. You decide. To evict Nathan, call 1902 555 010. Alex, 1902 555 011. Marty, 1902 555 012. Jessica, 1902 555 013. Kieran, 1902 555 014. Peter, 1902 555 015. Mirabai, 1902 555 016. Or Sarah, 1902 555 017. Big Brother Double Eviction, 7:30 Sunday.
Brides and bells must make way for new stock and must clear 300 wedding gowns. Prices have been sacrificed by up to 70%. Get your wedding gown from as low as $99. 300 gowns must be sold by this Sunday. Brides and bells in the Old Church, Paynham Road, Avondale.
Rather be sitting on this? $3.99. Look on News.
Right now, as one of the many great offers in the Maya pre-winter sale, we're taking 25% off all women's underwear from Burley and Bonds.
This weekend we're dumping 2,000 plants, 80 fruit trees dumped, 200 roses dumped, 200 birds nests dumped, 200 conifers dumped, 200 diamonds dumped, 200 pots dumped.
We're dumping 2,000 plants this weekend. We've run out of room.
Rather be sitting on this? Look on You, your leather specialist.
You're watching 10 News. Shocking figures tonight on what could happen if there is war between India and Pakistan. As Australians and other Westerners flee the region, American officials are warning a nuclear battle would leave up to 17 million people dead and injured.
American officials calculate an all-out nuclear war between India and Pakistan could cause 17 million casualties, killing up to 12 million people, injuring 5 million. US Defence Secretary Donald Rumsfeld has hinted he will use those figures next week when he meets with Indian and Pakistani leaders to emphasise the stakes of nuclear warfare.
We've given a lot of thought to their use and what the effects are, what the immediate effects are, what the lingering effects are.
The assessment by Pentagon intelligence analysts is based on a worst-case scenario in which both nations would use most of their nuclear arsenals and hit highly populated areas. Australian, British and American citizens are being urged to leave the region.
Tensions have risen to serious levels, and the risk of intensified military hostilities between India and Pakistan cannot be ruled out.
It's estimated 107,000 people would be killed instantly if India hit the Pakistani capital of Islamabad with its largest nuclear device, or in a similar attack on New Delhi. A sobering assessment US officials hope will help deter a nuclear attack. In the United States, Pam Mackay, 10 News.
The Greens will block the further sale of Telstra, despite leader Bob Brown urging the party to do a deal to save trees. It now seems unlikely the Howard government will offload Telstra this term.
Bob Brown wanted the Greens to trade the sale of Telstra in a deal to save old-growth forests.
It has been a political lapse in that I've shown some passion and heart about an issue.
Passion and heart apparently lacking in the Greens National Council, which forced the senator to ditch the plan.
I take it on the chin.
The Prime Minister hoped Senator Brown had opened the door to full privatisation.
I think he's come to the conclusion that
There's no going back.
But embarrassingly shot down by his party, the Green senator now stands accused of political opportunism.
Bob Brown, you don't have to stand up for the environment by selling out the bush.
Mr Howard was prepared to negotiate, but coalition colleagues, the Nationals, insist it was never a goer.
The decision will be about phones, not about deals with environmentalists.
The government promises its 51% holding in Telstra won't be sold until services in the bush are up to scratch. Reignited talk of a sale fuels strains on the coalition. If the government ever gets the numbers to sell Telstra, some National Party MPs would be forced to buckle or rebel. Mr Howard maintains the sale of Telstra is on track.
Things in the bush are getting better. There's no doubt about that. Things in the bush are looking up.
The Nationals, with an eye to their falling support in the bush, see improvements in service standards a lot differently.
There are still many gaps to be filled. The task has only just begun.
Brad Burke, 10 News.
The future of Telstra is one of the issues we'll discuss with National Party leader and Deputy Prime Minister John Anderson tomorrow morning on Meet the Press here on Network 10. A hospital emergency in Sydney this afternoon. 12 patients in the psychiatric ward at Bankstown Hospital in Sydney's southwest were overcome by petrol fumes and cement dust from a nearby construction site. They were evacuated and treated by emergency personnel before being allowed to return to their ward. Animals had to be rescued from a pet store when a shopping centre was engulfed by fire near Brisbane overnight. The blaze was one of two west of the city, which caused millions of dollars damage.
The fire started shortly after the witching hour. Suspected foul play in a cluster of 14 suburban stores west of Brisbane. Firefighters attempted to confine the flames to their source in a discount store, but they were forced to flee exploding gas cylinders and paint cans.
So the fire crews had to actually back out of the hardware store, and the fire then went into the roof of the building.
As the blaze grew and spread, so did fears for animals in the centre's pet store. The shop's owners worried most about birds kept in cages at the back.
Probably a couple hundred or so, 300.
Mostly smoke and that area, but the animals obviously were a concern, and we were able to, with the help of the fire service, members to move the animals.
Shortly before the shopping centre was destroyed and only a couple of suburbs away, a foam manufacturing factory also went up in flames. The business was gutted. The total bill from the night's infernos in Brisbane into the millions. John Bennett, 10 News.
Two young boys are dead and their teenage brother is fighting for his life after a horror road crash north of Melbourne. The boys, aged 10 and 12, were killed instantly in the crash just before 7 last night. It's believed their father lost control of the car after hitting a kangaroo. His 15-year-old son was flown to hospital suffering severe head injuries. The world's largest ecstasy ring worth $60 million has been smashed in Colombia. Police swooped on a lab, arresting 9 people and confiscating 120,000 capsules of the party drug. Investigators found the drugs had been sent by mail inside pill bottles and CD boxes. Authorities believe the drugs were bound for other Latin American countries, Europe and the United States. Survivors have spoken of their terror in the wake of yesterday's dramatic helicopter crash in the United States. Rescuers have removed the last body of 3 mountain climbers who were killed when they fell into a crevasse. The rest of the group lucky to be alive.
I saw the people coming towards us and tried to get out of the way. Jeff Pierce and I got out of the way, but Jeremiah Moffitt got hit by one of the guys coming down.
Authorities are investigating the cause of the crash. All 6 crew members on the helicopter miraculously survived. However, one remains in a serious condition. Next in 10 News, Woody Allen in court and the out-of-sync pop star spinning into space.
They kicked a massive 20 goals against Carlton at Optus Oval. This week, the Crows are back on home turf and taking on their toughest side in the league, the Brisbane Lions. Adelaide battle Brisbane at Football Park, 7:30 tonight on 10.
This weekend, we're dumping 2,000 plants, 80 fruit trees dumped, 200 roses dumped, 200 birds nests dumped, 200 conifers dumped, 200 diamonds dumped, 200 pots dumped.
We're dumping 2,000 plants this weekend. We've run out of room.
The Goo Goo Dolls' new album is Gutter Flower, featuring the hit single, Here Is Gone. The Goo Goo Dolls' Gutter Flower. It's in stores now.
Late one moonlit night, Domino's deep pan and thin and crispy crust got together and gave birth to Domino's new classic crust, a pizzeria-style crust that's crispy on the outside, soft and light on the inside, thinner than a deep pan, thicker than a thin and crispy. It's in between. Try Domino's new classic crust.
Domino's. 16 bedroom Wazooka stores are closed. Laconia liquidates quilts and quilt covers, pillows and pillowcases, blankets, sheet sets, towels, and much more. Gainsborough quilt covers save 50%. Actor Valances, all sizes, $10. Pillows, $5. Queen size mattress protectors, $10. On now, Laconia.
Ah, new guy, eh?
Continental creamy risotto. A little different.
Oh, they're just gonna love you. Another way to turn the ordinary meal into the extraordinary meal. Psst, move over for a side dish.
Tom Cruise. Superstar.
He set me up.
Before you see him in Minority Report, 9:30 Sunday, see him in the original all-action thriller, Mission Impossible, 9:30 Sunday on 10.
3 people, including a female police officer, have been hospitalised after a brawl in an Adelaide car park. Police say 2 men returned to their car around 1 o'clock this morning to find 4 men breaking into it. When they confronted the group, a fight broke out during which the car door was torn from its hinges. A police patrol was forced to call for backup when the officers were also assaulted and had their car rammed. 4 men have been charged over the incident and will appear in court next month. 1 was refused bail. A special Thanksgiving service in Melbourne today to honour those who've given the ultimate gift. Families of organ donors gathered with transplant recipients to share their stories and remember donors who've given others a second chance at life. There are up to 190 organ donors in Australia every year and 2,000 patients currently on waiting lists.
Without a new heart, I wouldn't have been here. It was that simple. So keep on giving, people, please.
It could have been another one of his films if it wasn't true. Funny guy Woody Allen has taken his longtime friend, producer Jean Doumanian, to court over missing millions. The 66-year-old comedian has told a packed court in Manhattan he's been deprived of nearly $20 million from his films. Allen says he discovered the shortfall after dissolving his business partnership with Doumanian. However, Doumanian claims Allen owes him money. Despite being one of the world's most successful and awarded movie makers, Steven Spielberg has finally graduated from film school. It was 37 years ago that Spielberg enrolled in the film and television production course at California State University, but it's taken him until today to graduate.
Steven Spielberg.
Spielberg can be forgiven for taking so long to complete the course. After all, he got sidetracked with some of the more practical elements of movies, namely making blockbusters. He's a star already, but now he just wants to get closer to them. And after months of preparation, Lance Bass from the pop group NSYNC has been given the go-ahead to be the first rock star in space.
Training for any mission to the stars is grueling, but star status offers no relief.
It was crazy.
What did you say? It definitely felt like you know how it's going to feel now when you're...
You definitely know exactly what it's going to feel like re-entering the... I mean, you know,
cool.
You can just feel everything melting around you.
A more rested pop idol and his corporate backers, Radio Shack, told the Moscow press he's confident of an October flight. but under no illusions about the risks involved.
I mean, of course, there's always a danger with anything you do.
A member of one of the world's most commercially successful boy bands, Bass has already started work on a series of TV specials about his cosmic journey. And if all goes to plan, this 23-year-old with fame and fortune here on Earth could literally find a place in the stars.
The weather's next, and then it's Sports Tonight with Matthew White.
Thanks, Tracy. Coming up, the latest on the AFL and NRL, the French Tennis Open, Soccer's World Cup, and a vintage effort as the Shark toys with the field at the Kemper Open.
How do you imagine your wedding? Something small, something big.
Something dramatic to go with us being nude. Okay, what?
8:30 Monday, 10 invites you to a very special evening.
So this is your outfit. It's nice earrings.
The most revealing episode you'll ever see.
I embrace nudity.
Okay, fine. Consider this your own nudist cap. No, don't.
It's time to find out how much of a man Evan really is. When Verena presents The Secret Life of Us, Monday on 10.
Oh, get your kicks on Route 66. Oh, well, get your kicks on Route 66.
I took a vow of poverty, of chastity, and of humility. They didn't mention anything about Jarrah Chocolate. Every woman craves, every day. Jarrah, 99% fat-free.
What's your lifestyle? Having dinner with some friends. What's your lifestyle?
City Living. End of financial year sale now on. 5-piece tripod dining setting, $990. Medium by Kalia leather sofa, $2,090. Neptune glass extension table, $1,150.
Kerry Ellis Golf huge pre-stock take sale.
I'm Kerry Ellis, and this is one sale you will save money.
Massive savings on top quality Cobra golf sets. Rollies including Crows and Port reduced to $19.95. With 5 Kerry Ellis golf stores across Adelaide, it's not a long drive.
Smack ya! Not your wallet. All killer, no filler albums at a wicked low price for a limited time. Puddle of Mud, Come Clean. Weezer, Maladroit. Boxcar Racer. Smack ya! Not your wallet with these wicked new rock albums. Don't be a donkey. Check them out now.
This is 10 News. A look now at the national weather. For tomorrow, windy with showers in Brisbane and along the Gold and Sunshine coasts. Showers for Sydney, sunshine in Canberra, Melbourne and Hobart. Mostly sunny in Adelaide, Port Lincoln and Victor Harbour. Showers in Perth, mostly sunny in Broome. Monday's forecast, wind and rain for Brisbane, a possible shower in Sydney. Sunny in Canberra, Melbourne, Hobart, Adelaide and Darwin, and wet in Perth. Now, yesterday, 10 News reported a story involving Archbishop George Pell. Dr. Pell is with the Roman Catholic Church and is not associated with the Australian Catholic Church. And that brings you up to date with the latest news. Thanks for joining us. Sports Tonight with Matthew White is next. I'm Tracy Spicer. Good night.